Good morning, YouTube. Let me see what time it is. Well, not that good at this phone with the YouTube, but anyhow, I assume it's morning. I was thinking about something, and I had a thought, and as I have these thoughts, I want to kind of put them on video. Sometimes I don't have the time, or I don't take the time, and I noticed a lot of people on here that are doing this. They're devoted to it, and they're using a lot of their own personal time to give people insight on what they've experienced, so it'll help them. I know this is what they're doing, that'll help them in their struggle, or in that place where they are. I was thinking about something with regards to this narcissist I'm still married to her. Courts are open, and it's kind of one of those things where I'm not gonna say I don't want to do it, but it's kind of one of them things where I don't even want to put the energy up to do it, because this individual came into my life. They sucked me in pretty much, and I married him. Third marriage, by the way. Haven't given up on the idea of marriage, but obviously that is something that's not on my mind today or tomorrow. Thought about the narcissist that I married. She as well as a neighbor here, I've noticed a lot of patterns, and they all act the same way. Very, very predictable. You can anticipate a lot of stuff they do, and furthermore, you just kind of know based on their behavior some of the stuff that they're doing. It's undeniable, a narcissistic personality disorder. And this is my point. Imagine, or not just imagine, I'm sure someone or most people can relate to this example. I got thinking, when you wake up from a dream, if you've ever had a bad dream. I haven't had a bad dream, and I don't know when. And when I say I don't know when, I just can't remember. It probably was 6 months ago. It probably was a year ago in this situation here, but I can't recall that. But I do recall when I was younger. And in my adult life, having a dream, and you wake up and you say to yourself subconsciously, man, I'm glad I woke up. I thought that was for real. I think those dreams serve to do something in your life. To show you how to focus and get some clarity, and to see if you need a cleansing in your spirit as far as your faith walk goes. This is pertaining to believers. If you are a believer, you readily recognize that there is something off with your spirit walk, or there may be something warning you with regards to that bad dream. But now, apply that to the narcissist. Imagine that they are every day, constantly waking up, metaphorically, and actually when they physically wake up in the morning, knowing or not knowing that the situation that they did the day before was bad, in which they took someone through, or they did something bad to people. It's almost like, I believe they have a momentary resting period where when they wake up, whether they've devised evil or not, like it says in the Bible, the wicked can't even sleep at night unless they've devised any kind of wicked scheme and accomplished it, paraphrasing. So when they wake up, I think God gives them a momentary moment to self-reflect. And in that moment, I don't think they utilize that. They immediately are spooked, because it helps them to realize or regulate that they're normal, that they're human, that they're no better or worse than the average human being. So they have to immediately run from that and go right to creating more chaos for other people. That is just what I believe. I perceive that, because nobody in their right mind or in a rational mind wakes up with hidden agendas every single day. or schemes. Nobody in their right mind. Nobody with a healthy mind. Now, this is another example. An elevator. I know some of you have been on an elevator and you pushed, say if you're on the first floor, and you pushed 3 or 4, the 4th floor, and this elevator seems like it's moving. You can feel it. You can even hear some stuff silently, very subtly moving, and the door is open, and you look out in that area and something looks familiar, and you look at the button, it's lit up and it says floor 1. You haven't even gone anywhere. You do this a few times and you find out that you're still on the first floor. Now that's what I believe the narcissists experience all day, every day. It doesn't matter how many times they push the button of other people's lives, and they push buttons, believe me, they still end up on the same floor. So it has to be exhausting, like some people on here, coaches say, and we have to believe that that is an exhausting life, to keep on doing the same thing repetitively, and not really accomplish anything other than hurt and pain for other people. But the narcissist ends up feeling no better or no worse. And anything that you perceive or believe they feel greater or less greater, I think is just a facade. I just think they have an even tone of horror going on inside of their head. It's just like a heroin addict. He may administer a certain amount of that drug in his arm, but he may do it a little faster one time, he may do it a little slower the next time. I truly believe the high is going to be actually the same. I know that from being a drinker all the years that I drank. It's been 20-some years though, but I can still remember like it was yesterday. You drink that first beer and that thing tastes so beautiful, and you continue to drink. I don't think any other beer after that tastes like that first one, but that's what you chase. And so the elevator situation and the bad dream, I just think I want to share that. And like I said, I have a neighbor that I've known that they were just super, super weird. Interacted with them before I even knew about this demonic thing we labeled narcissism, which is the Jezebel spirit. And again, I was listening to Pink Girl Teaches last night, one of the videos she had talking about the spiritual matter of this, and she is just very insightful. And if you're a believer, it resonates with us who and when I say a believer, and let me be distinct, a lot of people say I believe in God. I'm talking specifically those who believe in Jesus Christ and who are followers of Christ Jesus, Christians. We embrace those principles of spiritual warfare, and we apply them to this thing called narcissism, and it's identified as a Jezebel spirit in the Bible. And also, I can go on and on when I talk about spiritual matters and apply it to this, because this is exactly what I understand that's going on in my life, as well as I think in everybody else's life with these people. You remember the story when Saul would go to war and he would win wars, and one day he just felt like he didn't have to consult to God or have God as a mediator to give him the go-ahead of the green light. He went in and of himself, just assumed he would win a battle because he had won so many other battles. He became self-reliant, self-sufficient, and that's a form of pride. And you know the story. What happened is he became vexed in his spirit, and God took his power from him. I think it says rent his robe, which is tore his robe. The kingdom was torn from him, and from that point on, he went downhill. Even calling David King David, who he had assigned to do some things to comfort him, he set him up. He called him in to comfort him and ended up trying to assassinate him. And I think that was a narcissistic moment for King Saul as well. He was vexed in his spirit, the Bible says. And so, and led to a reprobate mind, inevitably. I don't think he sought after God anymore after that. I don't know the specifics of that reading, but I'm very doubtful, because if you're pursuing evil, you can't be pursuing good at the same time. So, as the story went, take for example that we're King David running from the narcissist. David was in no way a coward. He just didn't wish any harm on King David. He had a high respect for King Saul, even to the point, when he realized that King Saul was vehemently trying to take his life. And so the story went where he continued to chase David, and David went as far as to just sneak into his camp while all of his soldiers, who were burnt out from watching over Saul and taking shifts, just exhausted and burnt out, all fell asleep. And David crept in and stole away Saul's sword, and before leaving, he cut a piece of Saul's garment as proof that he was that close and had his life in the palm of his hands, physically, literally. And the next day, the story goes, he woke up, and I guess he had overslept, the alarm clock didn't go off, but anyway, he went and pursued David just some more. And David yelled out, basically, why don't you just stand down, stop trying to kill me, I've done nothing to you. But Saul wasn't having it. So as the show of proof, David held up the sword and a piece of Saul's garment. And I don't really remember the story verbatim, but I want to believe, and you guys can correct me if you like, or even go and look at it for yourself, and that's always a good thing to do, read the scripture for yourself. I believe he showed the sword to Saul, and Saul didn't readily believe that was his sword, I think. So as an added show of proof, and I think this is a wonderful angelic thing to do, he basically said, you got the dye pack on you. we know you took the money, using that as a metaphor, because he said, look at your robe, there's a piece missing and I have it. That's how close I could have took your life. So being an empath, I think there's many things that I have in the palm of my hand by way of smearing this narcissist. Because, one more thing I wanted to talk about. I didn't know it was going to be 15-20 minute video, but that's okay, because I got a lot to say and some good stuff to say. As you know, she called and somehow smeared me in my job and got me fired. But prior to that, she had left 3 weeks and some days to the date of my no contact. She left this residence and she went back to the hole she crawled out of, living above her mom. The cheapskate they are. So she went back to where I found her, and so I had continued to work at the job that I had. I'm getting ahead of myself. At the end of the 3rd week of no contact, mind you, I already knew she's a narcissist, and I already got a lot of this knowledge inside of me by way of Dave Narcology, Unscripted, Carmen Bryant, you name it, on and on and on, Little Shaman, Narc Survivor, just stuff that just went to the core of the demonic. entity that these people are. So I embraced it. I sponged it up really quick. So I was actually living with this person knowing the detrimental harm that they were causing or had been causing and was going to continue to cause. I knew about the fact that she was going to smear me. I knew this possibility that she would try to smear me with my job and get me fired. So I took precautions and asked my boss if anybody called down here and says anything to them about me or makes any statements, outlandish statements, don't believe them. And looking back at that, that had to be the weirdest thing in the world for me to randomly, for him to feel like I randomly just would say. Although I'd already told him that I was in a stressed marriage, and I didn't tell him exactly what, because at that point I don't think I was able to identify it, or the name. Nor when I found out did I even tell him that I was living with a narcissist. I kind of kept that under wraps because, again, the videos tell you don't go telling everybody da 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 da. And I definitely didn't think that they would be able to embrace and absorb this in a healthy way to understand it. So I kept that to myself. And besides that, there was a narcissist older man working at the job with me, whom I had known all the time that he was sent from the devil before I even knew the name of narcissist. And so he's an old narcissist. So you can imagine, and like they say, when they get older, they get worse. Always setting booby traps. This guy was just, oh man, deplorable. So anyway, I didn't tell him what exactly she had. I was just going to work, doing my work, trying to focus. And my point being, we were allowed to leave on at least three occasions within these 3 weeks of no contact, randomly. Only a few hours into the job, the work day, 3 p.m. to 12 p.m. is my shift, second shift. So it would be like 5, 6 o'clock, and this was during the time where it got dark at 9. And they would say, well, you guys can go home early for one reason or another. I forget what the reasons were. So a lot of them we even got paid for. So that was a beautiful thing. And to the point I'm making, I had known that she was cheating, or that they cheat and they have multiple people. They cheat right on your nose. And I guess you guys know where I'm going with this. I could have came home immediately, unbeknownst and surprisingly to them. But I was so numb, I didn't need to know more of what she was doing, or even to catch her red-handed. It wasn't like I was trying to dodge seeing what I already knew. I just took that time, unbeknownst to them, to actually, I think, listen to more videos, to absorb what was really going on around me and in my life. Of course, my children were not in her care, so they were with the mom at this time. If not, I would have, readily went home. I think after I realized it, she in no ways stayed, or my kids at that point didn't stay at this house from that point on for the whole 3 weeks of no contact. So I was able to get the windows boarded up before the storm, if you will. But they had already begun to smear me. I know that from listening to some videos too, or devalue me. Hadn't discarded me physically yet, but they were in that process because there was somebody else they were screwing around with, I'm sure. So, and the video that I have on my surveillance cameras tells a story that if she knew, she would actually probably jump off a building. So I wouldn't come home until around 10, 11 o'clock, and I would come to find her passed out snoring. And now I know passed out from the deep consumption of the wine that she had hidden in Poland Spring bottles throughout the house. We discovered that after we were cleaning the hog pen of a bedroom out after they left. So I guess staying on point, I knew a lot of what a lot of people didn't have advantage to know early on, why they were still here in my midst. I didn't capitalize on it in a vicious way. I did what Dave and others on his say, leave quietly, but that wasn't an option for me. I needed her to leave, and that was actually a ploy to, I felt like them not being able to be left alone for long periods of time. I felt like them feeling abandoned. She would not want to be here anymore, and she would crawl to the new supply sooner rather than later. And it worked. But with surveillance uh, and visually seeing some stuff, I told you guys before, I peeked through the keyhole in the bathroom, the old skeleton keyholes, and my daughter was there standing beside me as I unctioned for her, letting her know that I was going to peek in to see, because they stay on their cell phone. She would be in the bathroom an hour. So out of curiosity, I'm like, wonder what she is doing in there, since I'm no contact right now. And I discovered her just snapping pictures like you wouldn't believe, snapping them and sending them and sending them and sending them. So she had took this love bomb into high gear. And I just hope one day that this circulates throughout the world. Not so much just for her to see, because I could care less. She probably never will. Who cares? For other people that don't know the dirty dealings of these people. And this is in no way to make you go and start playing detective. It is just for you to know in your heart and your mind and your soul that she's no exception to the rule, because she did that. Don't fool yourself in thinking, well, my man, I know he wouldn't send text pictures because he doesn't get on social media. They'll tell you that. Believe me, they know how to use a smartphone better than the people who designed the smartphone. Whoever that is. Probably was designed by a narc, who knows. Anyway, a lot of things are designed by a narc. I think Xbox probably could have been designed by a narc too. The fuel you get from that junk. I never played one. My kids got one. My son said, Daddy, Mom bought me an Xbox and I ain't even asked for it. Unbelievable. But nothing wrong with video games in and of themselves. I played them coming up. There's nothing right with them. They teach you a lot of eye-to-hand coordination, just like any other sport. But too much of it, man, it'll fry your brain. So, this is a friend of mine who has a book, and he gave it to me, and he gave me this one free, and they go for $12 on Amazon, and the title is Show and Tell. Show and Tell, Sharing Christ Always and Everywhere. And this, when I said a quick read, because a book has only 95 pages, doesn't always mean it's a quick read. But that's for lack of a better word. You don't have to worry about a big book that you say, I don't have time to read. This is, man, just nuggets of insight on this guy's life as a believer. And if you ever meet him, his eyes is wide open when you see him for Christ. He actually never dull moment when I walk in the store. He's a manager of one of the bigger box hardware stores here in the area, and his name is Don Simpson. Again, this is Show and Tell, Sharing Christ Always and Everywhere. I think he has 3 beautiful daughters, little daughters, and a wife. So, and he's just a real guy, man. And I've told him all of this stuff I've experienced, and this guy has never, ever given me that wishy-washy, watered down, holy rolling, well, let God take care of it, this and that. He actually is very aware of narcissism and all these other psychological dilemmas that we deal with in our society. And he's going to seminary school to do some further, polishing his witnessing, and because he just loves the Lord. So I just wanted to give you him a plug on this, so you can go out and get this on Amazon, or you can order it. You don't have to go out and get it. It's on Amazon. I've never ordered on Amazon, but I'm sure you know how to order that. So yeah, I've read just a few pages in the beginning. They come on page 4. I read these books slow because I read and I'll meditate on them, never in a hurry. So I ramble, but I think you guys got an idea of what I was trying to say about this video. And I was trying to say, like, the elevator situation or the bad dream waking up from, they're tormented, man. And this is just the empathy I have in me that helps me counterbalance the hostility that I would like to have. And the Holy Spirit living in me in a healthy way. God saved me from something that I could have never saved myself from, with the eye-opening insight of Him letting me become aware of the word narcissist, which is in fact the Jezebel spirit. And I think that is all and everything it is, the Jezebel spirit. And out the gate, Jezebel just came to destroy and take the energy and the spirit and the existence out of God's good creation. So, you churchgoers that tend to do it traditionally, let's wake up. It's time to step it up and push it up a notch. And even going into your church, I know it's going to be hard for some of the churchgoers that have been going to church for 15, 20 years, who have actually put their heart, blood, and tears into maybe even their pastor or fellow parishioners, members of the church. They've befriended and have formed bonds with them, have watched their kids grow up, and they've watched your kids grow up. You've babysat their kids or vice versa. You've interacted in many ways that are so wholesome and deep, seemingly. And you, being the non-narc, have embraced and just cherished those moments. You can't undo those moments, but this comes to identify if in fact you are living, dealing, and existing and cohabitating with these types of meat suits, as Dave says on Narcology Unscripted, these empty meat suits. And if you are, you got a decision to make. In just normal times, people don't want to cease and desist serving in a church where the pastor is probably falling from grace. I'll give you a perfect example. Bishop Long, Eddie Long. These people hung in there. Even when the quicksand, you couldn't see their neck. I mean, it was so apparent the things that had happened with this church, and they, that comes down to the humanism in us. We don't want to be embarrassed or shamed if we walk away from the thing that we just got deceived in. We would rather stay with that pastor and pretend, or even not even pretend because of the trauma bond. We would still support that evil entity with all the evidence being put right before us, undeniable evidence. That's why you see a lot of children or adults that murder or kill someone in a gruesome way and do real psychotic things. And you'll have that parent or even that child say, well, we still love our dad. He's this. Or my child, Jeffrey Dahmer, perfect example. These people don't call it for what it is, that he was absolutely sick and psychotic. They can say that. And you can say he's my son. I love him as the son he was, the son I knew. And, just furthermore, let people know that this was a sick, twisted thing that this person did. And that he truly was possessed by the devil. He got it through his wife and children, little girls, in this oil tanker. This is just Stuff that we gotta just acknowledge that it happens. And I know that's an extreme from the pastor falling from grace and these people murdering people, but when you look at it on the level of the way God sees it, these people still kill and destroy. A person can take your life without even, your heart can still be beating, and they can take your life. Because you got one life to live. If your life stays stagnant and your life is put on pause by way of the narcissist, you're actually dead. You are dead. You are no longer yourself. You're no longer existing as yourself because you have lost touch on who you are. So you're actually just going through the motions of who you perceive yourself to be or who you ought to be. But in essence, you're doing and being whatever the narcissist darn well think you should be. I'm early into this discovery of the word, but I'm not that new to the abuse and the psychological mind games these people play. So I'm going to end this right here. So I threw a lot of things in there. Just listen to me. I'm not polished like a lot of people here, nor do I even care to be. But at some point, I hope that I'll get to a point where I'm a little more on topic and stay focused. But for now, I feel comfortable, jumping around because this is stuff that I think equally is going to help a little bit of everybody, because I may hit a point that resonates with 10 people when I speak about one issue, and I may jump over to another issue for 2 or 3 minutes, 5, 6 minutes, and I think that issue may resonate with people who have experienced that specific thing. So either way it goes, I think it's time well spent here when we're talking to people and trying to help elevate them back to where they're supposed to be, to their God-given position. So I ain't done yet, man. I got a lot more left in me. So like and subscribe, and be safe, blessed.